So one of the curses of confidence is that sometimes you believe every space is yours.
Ooh,
And
you're so good.
Yeah, I think that's the
Wow.
one thing I really wish
Yeah.
I learned earlier, is that you can have something to say, but not for everyone and not at every time.
Ladies and gentlemen, back on the bench with I Have Been Meaning to Ask. I am excited to have Miss Sis Nyawira Gachugi. This lady, you will agree, I know you will agree, once you hear her, there are places that she's going. Phenomenal person. She has so much inside of her that she wants to offer to the world. First thing I heard is that she's a certified confidence coach. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
Holla.
Miss Nyawira herself. Finally, oh my goodness.
I'm so happy
Finally
to
on the
be
bench.
here. Finally.
Man, I
finally.
feel so accomplished. You have no idea.
Ashabasi.
You have no idea. I
I'm
feel
happy.
like, man, we've gotten there now. Finally, we've broken through. Breakthrough.
I know when you told me to come, I was actually quite nervous because I was seeing the other stories you had and I was like, sasa guy, unakuja kusema. But I'm happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here, and shout out to your whole community. Great stuff for having here.
Asante. Confidence coach.
Yeah.
What is that?
So I think it starts from when I was very young. So like I grew up in a very supportive family, but also I don't think the word is supportive, but it's those families that really push you to be like who you're meant to be. And shout out to my dad and my late mom, is that like we were always pushed to be confident. Like you went somewhere and you didn't say anything. So look what do.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think it was very young, and I mean all my siblings, we have this one thing. And so a year or two ago, I sat down and said, you know what, I recognize there are many people who don't have this skill.
Yeah.
Let me go and do a course, and I did one.
Yeah.
And so now I'm helping people.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say is the greatest thing when it comes to building confidence?
I think understanding that one is necessary. It's not for some. It has nothing to do with your personality. Yeah, confidence is not loud. No, it's just like understanding of who you are. But I think one of the biggest challenges is ourselves. Yeah, we suffer significant self-doubt. I wish we knew. Because it's a you issue.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your environment. Because I know people who come from very humble backgrounds but are very confident.
Yeah.
People from very elite spaces but are very not confident. So it has nothing to do with that. It has a lot to do with how you see yourself and how you believe in what you have. And that's actually the truth, is that if you believe in what you have, you're confident.
Then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So see my words poor.
How important is confidence in everything that you do?
It's a must. It's a must. It's a must. No, so let me just look at the camera for 2 seconds and say this is the reason why men have it easier sometimes than us women.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because men walk into a space and are so aware of who they are. But we women, we start to think to ourselves, but what will they say? How will I be seen? What will happen here? And I think that's the beauty, is that's why sometimes men get into some rooms and they occupy the space more confidently, because they are so aware of who they are. Yeah, and I think the inverse is that as women, we just need to be who we are. We don't need to fight you.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
That's so good.
I wish we could make a t-shirt with that statement.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting you.
I'm not fighting you.
No.
I am who I am.
I am who I am, and I am okay with that.
And I'm confident with who I am.
Yeah.
Wow. That, you said a couple of things.
Yeah.
Confidence is not being loud.
No.
It's not being...
It's not extroverted. It's not.
It's just being you.
It's you.
And being comfortable with who you are.
Yep.
Do you think that's why there are some people who end up with people and you're like, how did those two even end up together?
My point exactly. Completely. And I think the truth is that sometimes because of our lack of confidence, we attach to people who are confident. And so we latch onto you. And then so what happens is that when I find out who I am, we kosana.
Because you finally have figured out
I got it, yeah. So many relationships end up or become a bit messy because I found out who I was. I don't need you anymore.
My goodness.
Because we began the wrong way.
That's so well said.
Yeah.
Also a TV personality.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How did confidence take you there? Or is that something you always wanted to do?
In fact, the TV story is a story of chronic rejection. So one of the curses of confidence is that sometimes you believe every space is yours.
Ooh.
And
You're so good.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
that's the one thing I really wish I learned earlier is that you can have something to say, but not for everyone and not at every time.
So not every space, it's not
yours.
It's not,
No.
oh my goodness.
No,
so
no, no,
not
no,
every
no.
audience is your audience.
No, and that's, I think I'm learning it now more than any other time in my life, because now I understand why comparison needs to end, because I know that this is your space. I'm not trying to come and take your people.
And you're trying to fight.
No, it's yours, and me being here is honorable. Yeah, and it's like you think I have something to say to your people, but I'm not trying to steal them. And I think that's,
wow.
I wish I knew this earlier. But what happened with TV was in 2017, 16, 17, there was a different Kenyan local station that had called for auditions, and so I went. I was sure I was getting it. Like, I walked to that room, I was like, are these the other chicks surely you have? Hey, bring it, it's my time.
Shot on you.
Oh my gosh. So they went quiet for a while. And then I got a text. No, I reached out to the producer because I knew him, and I said, hey, what's happening? I haven't got any feedback. And he texts me and says, sorry, went a different direction. The next hour after our text, I see the trailer of them revealing the new person.
You didn't believe it?
Oh my God, didn't believe it. My tears and my text, my hands are shaking. Thank you so much. It's fine next time. I was such a mess because I knew it was mine.
Did you not think the other person was
for it?
Adequate enough?
No, that's the thing with false confidence. It has a lot to do with you thinking you're better than. But confidence has a lot to do with I'm enough for.
Yeah.
I think when you know that difference, you're so much safer.
So, this is so good. So it is possible for you to be really good, but not for that particular space.
No.
And it's fine for you even to know that it might not be for you, but you're still confident.
Exactly. And I think it's David playing the harp, knowing that he'd been anointed, and watching Saul and thinking to himself, you know, I'm the guy. I'm the one for this.
You know you're a preacher, right? You know that.
No.
You're not confident enough to know you're a preacher.
It's not my time yet.
It's not your time yet. I like that.
But I think about him, and every time I tell myself, I think that's a lesson I would learn, that what I'm called to do, I'll go there and do it, even though I know that there's more for it. So that was the lesson. So 2016, I get rejected, suffered chronic denial. Like every time somebody would say, why don't you try out this position? And I'd keep on telling myself, no, I'm not taking myself back to that pain. Long and short of this mess was that 5 years later, we get a call from KTN. So Ben Psycho and I was on Ben Psycho's podcast. And so we do a lot of videos together, and Ben and I are foolish, like we have ridiculous chemistry. And so they said, come and let's do this thing together. And in fact, when I went for the screen test, I was ready to be told no.
So you went there not as confident?
No, in fact, this time I had my tail in between my legs because I knew, sasa mkinizima hapa, twice is a charm, I'm never doing this again. When the producer called me that morning, actually she called Ben first, and Ben called me and said, we got on the gig, and I said, what? There's no way, Ben, there's no way. So when she called me, I was waiting for her to tell me, but it's only for this time. But it's, I'm waiting for the no.
You're waiting for the,
where's the
negative
hook?
ways.
Yeah. It didn't come.
What?
So that's how it happened.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
You guys have done so well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Nyawira, there are other spaces that you're in and doing very well, flourishing. Taura, communications is one of them. I know you're an MC, you do you host so many events.
Yeah.
When did that all begin? Did that begin just based on what you do in the media space, or how did that?
In fact, it began in obscurity. Oh, God help us.
Yeah.
It began in church when I was very young. Church has been such a part of my story. I think I'm always wrong to say that, to ever leave it from the story.
Yeah.
So serving in church was how I began hosting services.
Yeah.
My first official gig was actually by Reverend Julian.
Are you serious?
He saw me emceeing at Trendsetters. They had an overnight kesha.
Yeah.
And the next thing I got a call, they were launching Beulah.
That wasn't your first emceeing gig.
That was the first official one.
Absolutely no.
No, completely. It was
no way.
But you see, what people don't understand is that I think it's just a safe place to say is that preparation doesn't necessarily always mean for the type of stages.
Yes.
Just get ready for what you're getting ready for. Yeah, because I think we downplay the fact that serving in church is a lot of preparation. It's an audience that's coming every Sunday to see you.
That again. Because the people in church who need to hear this.
Yeah, and
What?
I think it's something that we need to say more is that church gives you an opportunity.
A platform.
Yeah,
A
and you know
place.
you can't be rejected in church. If you're bad at church,
Yeah, if
yeah,
you're-
wait,
yeah.
nothing,
If you're bad,
it's
you can't make it through that.
You have hardship. But I think church just allowed for me to always see, like, you have an older audience, a younger audience, you have a moody audience, you have an excited audience. You know, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
So when Reverend gave me the call, I said, let's go. After that, I sat down with a lady called Becky, and I said, you know what, Becky, I really enjoyed doing this thing at Beulah. She said, let's make a profile.
Yeah.
She made a profile, and Beulah was the only gig that I had listed. But she said, no, you've done church gigs, list them. I listed them.
And the rest?
The rest is history.
What?
Yeah.
That was your first gig, and
Completely.
you did it so well. Is
Oh,
that the one
thank
you did with Tawanda?
Tawanda,
Oh
yes.
my goodness.
Yes.
You were so good. I remember it so.
But
oh my
it's
God.
because yeah. It's singing to the animals. It'll become a book of Psalms.
You did it so well. How many gigs do you think you've
Collectively now, I was trying to do the math the other day. I think we've done almost 150. Yeah, and it's a
done?
span of.
High-profile gigs.
No, high profile would be like maybe 40, 50. The rest are 20.
You show up.
Yeah, you show up and you do your thing.
But you always show up.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed with you is
Yeah.
that your temperament is always the same.
Yeah.
And the energy level, like,
Yeah.
is always. Do you ever have bad days?
Oh my gosh, I have them. I have them completely.
When do you have them? Like,
I have bad days all the time. But I think the thing is, it's something I learned the other day, actually. Let me just flaunt and shout out to Joe Gashira for teaching us. I learned about like this, the energy budget, right? Is if your energy budget is low, don't show up in places where they know it to be high.
energy budget.
Because
Ooh,
I'm telling
that
you,
is good.
if I come and meet you and you're used to seeing me in high spirits, the
And then I
day you'll
don't.
see me low,
Yeah, like
you'll think, what's up with you?
Something is terribly wrong.
So you show up all the time at your highest. Or if you can't sustain your highest, don't go to places that demand for you to be at the highest. You'll be those moody people all the time in meetings, and nobody wants that type of energy around you.
Yeah, who cares about
no,
that?
who cares? Exactly. So I think I now know it. So I show up a lot. I'll be tired. I'll be
Energy
sleepy.
budget.
But be here. Keep it at the top.
Yeah. Then when you rest, you rest.
You rest. You rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Well said. Then you got married.
I got married.
What year was that?
2021, May 1st.
And then you get married to a celeb.
Yes.
You're already out in the space, and then here is Moji.
Yeah.
And he's in the Christian space
Yes,
and
yes,
in
yes.
music
Yeah.
and known everywhere. How did that?
Happen.
Yeah. Like,
Moji was in a group called Kale Takatifu. At the time, I was serving at Kubamba. And so we had TSO, and so I was helping with stage. So they were coming for their gig, and so I saw, like, oh, you're going up on stage. I had never met them. Yeah, so I was like, oh, this is cool. So we talked off stage, nothing dramatic, nothing romantic, just good vibes. If you've been near Moji, one of the things he'll do with you is give you a long conversation.
long.
Long. I now know that it's long. At the time, it was all rosy in my head, but it was long. And so we became friends. I got to know him at that time. And then 2 years after that, Reverend George Masharia had begun prayers at Jivanji.
Yeah.
And the time I was at Mo Sound.
Yeah.
And Ben told me, by this you come for prayers. There's this thing we do, there are prayers happening at church, why don't
Yeah.
you come?
Yeah.
I told Ben, let me take you. So I went. We met with Moji. We began talking.
Another long talk.
Many long ones. Many long ones.
Okay.
A year later, we start church. We're spending more time together now. Yeah. So we are now serving in church together. We're setting up this church, but then our eyes are seeing each other. And so, yeah, I mean, we dated a year and I think 4 months, and we got married.
Is a year 4 months enough?
It was enough for us.
Good.
Yeah, I
That's
don't think
well
there's
said.
no standard. There's no standard.
Yeah.
There are guys who meet in 7 years, they'll get married, others in 2 years. Kila mtu na kwake.
But Nyawira, you're in the media
Yeah,
space, you're out there, you're in all these different events and everything. I am sure there were 1,000 other guys.
Yeah.
Why Moji?
Oh my goodness.
By the way, Moji, short Baba.
Hala. Why him? Because I felt extremely safe with Moji, and I still feel the same way. I think one, if any of us is anything, Moji is it. He's like celebrity, he's superstar, we go places, pass and you'll be told, where's Shika camera to take a picture? Where and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was with him. But there's so much safety in being married to the right person and being with him. I also chose Moji because at the end of, like when we were in, that awkward place where you're dating, but you're not sure whether, like, are we dating? Are we, what is this heading to?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed
the
explaining age.
What are we? That place where ladies usually
exactly.
define this thing now.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. That point, I really enjoyed our conversations. He was and always, I think in my eyes, would always be a person I just enjoy having conversations with. Deep, shallow, name it. So I think for me, that's why Moji. Yeah. All these other brothers are great, but
all these other brothers.
This one is mine.
Had you ever dated someone else serious enough, like you thought you were gonna get married?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Now, what people don't know about Nyawira is I am a romantic.
Yeah.
So when we start dating, I'm already planning the wedding day. I'm those chicks. But even when we were friends with Moji, I was in a relationship at our initial stages. And it ended really badly.
So Moji came and sliced that.
He didn't even slice. He was the healing balm. Because
Gilead.
I had just been dumped. You know, Pasi, dumped for your heart is mincemeat.
Tell us about that.
You
were dumped.
Imagine, that's my thought as well.
Who is this guy?
He's a brother of his own. And I think I say it all the time. I don't think he's a bad person. I think we just all need to
What happened?
We dated for, 2 years?
Yeah. It should have been 1 year, 4 months.
It should have been even a few months, really, if I'm being honest. But he and I genuinely think we were forcing it. I don't think we were going anywhere. Yeah. I mean, looking back, I was extremely toxic. And I was the problem as well. He wasn't him all the time.
You know, that's quite adult of you to say that.
You have to look back and realize.
So you were the problem.
I was the problem, and I was the problem because I wanted him to want what I wanted, and
you wanted him to want
what I wanted.
Sips water.
But now looking back, it's like I maybe have been imposing on a guy who that wasn't what he wanted. So yeah.
But what did you want?
I wanted marriage quick.
He
wasn't against marriage, just not that soon.
So you wanted marriage?
Yeah.
What else?
Now, I wanted marriage now because I wanted our life to go a certain way. I wanted him to be a bit more involved in my social circles. That didn't happen.
Was he much older than you? Or was he
No, he was a year older than me. Yeah.
Okay.
So it didn't work. It didn't work. There were things I felt like I was over-explaining. I've said this before, is that church is such a big thing in my life. So that means I spent a lot of time at church. We were not at the same church, so he never understood. Particularly when you're starting a church, you're always around each other. So he wasn't there. He didn't get it. He didn't get it. And you can only try so hard.
He didn't get it, but Moji got it.
Moji was in it. We were there wiping the church floor together. I was like, yeah, this could be us. This could be us.
So were you on the rebound? Would you say?
No, I wasn't. And I knew I wasn't because the period between Moji and this guy and Moji could have been maybe 8 months.
Okay.
8 months, a year.
After the heartbreak.
After the heartbreak. And so I went through a lot of soul searching and asking myself some very hard questions like, are you okay to date? And I think the advantage of Moji being there in that season was that he also saw me through the motions when I was
At that time, did you know you were the problem? Or did you figure it out much later? Of course.
Which woman is the problem? I know even in the comment section the women are going to be saying, yeah, that chick is just now talking now because she wasn't in it. But when you're in it, you're never the problem. Umekosewa. But looking back now, yeah.
So how would you explain to someone who is in it to be fully aware that they could potentially be the problem? Because nobody ever sees themselves as the problem. They always see like, this thing is being done to me.
Yes,
yeah?
unakosewa. I would say 2 things. One, be honest with your circle. Tell them what the full picture is.
Yeah.
And us as women, we love to sit in a corner and hate on the guy who hurt us.
Yeah.
But I wish in that season I was able to tell people that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And the people around me could easily have slapped me into reality and said, but that's not where he is. And it's okay for him not to be there. Yeah. Having it your way doesn't mean it's a successful relationship. It's actually controlling. It's ways the in-between. And I mean, I really wish that in that season I was able to be honest and authentic about what I was feeling and the disappointments I had, and not just glorify his shortcomings.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're in it now, the biggest thing to tell you is keep the right people around you.
Look into that camera
Yeah.
and say exactly what you just said. Because there's someone right now that,
Yeah.
you know, they have pushed this thing and they're seeing I'm winning.
Yeah.
But it's the other person just accepting.
Yeah.
And you may end up in the wrong relationship
Yep.
because somebody just accepted.
Yeah, I think it's just to tell you, my beloved queen, is to tell you, get the right people around you. And getting the right people around you is not people who are obsessed with your relationship, but are honest about it. And they mean well. I think that's the thing. There are people who mean well, but many times we don't like hearing them. Yeah, so get the right people.
Wow. I think you have so much to offer the world. I really believe that.
Amen, Pastor.
Nyawira, so
Yeah.
you ended up now with Moji.
Yes.
Would you have regretted if you ended up with the wrong person, in the sense that you were able to convince them and they took up, because you can love someone,
Yeah.
but you're not ready
Yeah.
to go down the aisle with them. You
Yes.
can love them, but you're not ready. So what happens if you're able to convince them? They still love you,
Yeah.
but then at the end of the day you find
Yeah.
out we rushed into this thing.
Yeah.
They're good people. Could there be good people who are not meant for each other?
Yes, they could be. They could be, they could be, they are, there is, there will always be. But it's just to also say, if I convince you to the point, and you're a guy, if I convince you to the point of us getting married, many of our marital decisions will require convincing. So I'll always have to tell him, so what do you think about this piece of land? I have to convince you again. So I'm not letting you lead. So I'm not submitted to you. I'm controlling you. That's a bad spirit. Yeah.
So we've used the S word. What do you think about submission?
It's the greatest thing ever, particularly if you're in the right space with the right person.
But what do you think it even means? What's submission?
For me, submission looks like this guy is submitted to God first. So I see how he submits to God. And as I see how he does that, I know that I can trust him with my life. You know, I think my life changed greatly when we got married, because there are things Moji has influenced in my life that has changed my outlook completely. Almost a 360. But if I didn't let him, I'd have never done some of the things I do. So submission for me is saying, I trust you. I trust you. Take leadership. Yeah. And I'll follow. There are times I'll fight you, but I'll follow.
Wow.
Yeah, because also it's not easy to do it. Yeah. My husband is a very soft-hearted man. Very, like, he's a gentle spirit completely. And so there are times I feel like, why are you letting these people step on you? Work when you're warning. Send me, Moji, takes off my earrings, I'm coming for them. But he'll look at me and say, no, it's not for us to do, and you'll see it. But that has helped me so much, because when I submitted to Moji, one of the things that was such a blessing was that there are many things he has saved me out of. Bad conversations, bad friendships. Even just people who are trying to position themselves in your life, he'll tell you this person is out of rhythm, get out. So submission is such a, it is the greatest thing. But also this is for the woman, is to say it's great to do. But even for the men watching is to say, it has to be something that it doesn't start with you receiving, but you giving. I must see you submitted. Yeah. So for me, one of my biggest prayer points when I had just been dumped per se, was that I wanted to be with a man who I publicly so love God, I publicly so submitted to God and to someone else before anything, because I would understand. So how I watch Moji to the people he submitted to informs a lot of the way I make some conversations with him.
Wow.
Yeah, because Moji doesn't go shouting when he's feeling like he needs help. No. So when I want to ask him for help, I also won't go, Moji, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Yeah, no. Wow. Just it's a what do you call? It's a playbook that God gives us. Watch how he is submitted, and that's not the measure, but it'll also inform how you will relate well in that submission. So
because
it's a
then
great
you
thing.
learn. There are things you will learn, including, we talk about, different languages of love.
Yep.
And the way someone expresses love
may have an indication of how they also want to receive it.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you said you guys have been together now for how many years?
3 years.
3 years. Oh my goodness,
3
well done.
years.
That's awesome.
It is.
Nyawira, so when you're thinking about career, you're thinking about advancement, I know you even do speaking,
Yeah.
and you fly across the globe now. You're invited to, you know, and that's why I'm so excited that you're here today. How has everything in your past aligned to today, with where you find yourself today?
That's such a good question. It makes sense now. I have never in my life, like this year, been more grateful for the times I've been rejected or for the opportunities I've been denied, because God was actually muting me so that when the time comes, I'll have something to say. You know, Pasi, I think it's the blessing of youth is that we think we are needed everywhere.
Wow.
We do. We think we are needed everywhere. And so what we do is we impose our gifting in places that it's not welcome. And so what happens is that now looking back on my journey, I'm really grateful for the times God like slammed the door smack in front of my face, because I understand it now. Yeah. If God gave me some of the things I'm able to do now, then I'd have been a mess. I'd have been trouble. I would have been trouble completely. But God has opened the door after he has done such serious panel beating. You know, Nyawira, you're not needed there. Nyawira, humble yourself. You know, Nyawira, this is not how you behave there. And it's a lot of molding. Many of the things I say when I'm called to speak anywhere have 100% to do with the experiences I've gone through in life. So you can't share when you're going through them because you're not learning.
Wow.
When you're done, you have something to share.
That's awesome.
Now I'm trusting God to make me understand why certain things happened. He's allowing me to see it.
That's awesome. If you're to find a Bible character that you resonate the most with, who would that be?
So many. Confused about the age, but it would have been younger. Would have been Moses. I would definitely not be 80, but it would be David. Also, because I think he had a lot of insecurities, but God used him regardless. Yeah. So those two would be my guys.
So you think you have a lot of insecurities?
Absolutely.
It's not a fault, it's actually, it's there.
It's something I deal with a lot, yeah. I mean, coming here today, one of the biggest questions I was asking myself is, what do you have to say?
You?
Yeah. Because in my head,
deal with that?
Absolutely. And it's not a small thing, because I think you start to ask yourself, people want to hear you, but then what do you have to say? Yeah, so that really, it's the thing that keeps me in check a lot. Yeah.
Do you think those things are there to be almost like a speed governor of sorts?
Absolutely.
So that you're not running ahead of yourself.
Absolutely.
I think you have so much to offer. What are you talking about?
You know, Pasi, share this. I was having this as my devotion a few months ago, and it has never left my head. So David goes to Saul, and Saul tells him, hey, my guy, finish this guy. David is told by Saul, tells him.
I like the way you say it. It's like the Ebonics.
Yeah, it's the Nyawira version. So Saul tells him, put on my armor. And David says, no, I can't work in it. David goes and looks for these polished, smooth stones, and he goes and he finishes Goliath. But the scripture that we always forget to say is that he beheaded Goliath with his Goliath sword, meaning he could have handled Saul's. So where God needs me to be, many a times, I want to tell God, I want God to tell me, use these stones for now. One day you'll use the sword, but use these stones for now. So I think that has always stuck in my mind.
Wow.
What are the stones I have now? The sword is coming, but what stones do I have now?
Wow.
Yeah.
You lost your mom at 19.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I do. It was an interesting time. I think I was having a therapy session a few months ago, and the therapist asked, what's the one thing you wish in your 20s? And I said, I really do wish I had my mom, because there were many transitions in my 20s. I was dumped chronically. I found love. I got married. I found myself. I began doing things I enjoyed and not just things that looked good. But I wanted those moments to be shared with her. It was a hard time, but now I'm grateful to God that even in that difficulty, I have seen God. Yeah, and I think it's just to say that sometimes I think during that season, one of the things that used to disturb my head a lot was, am I incomplete? Like, you know, like my peers don't have this struggle. But what I do know now is God has allowed me to understand what loss is, so I can be there for those who've lost. So, yeah, it became ministry indirectly.
Yeah. What happened to her?
So my mom had cancer, and it was an interesting one because it wasn't like the aggressive 0 to 100, because she went for treatment. In fact, the year of her passing, she was in remission. And then she came from India, came to Kenya, and when she came to Kenya, they found that there was a growth again in the same area. And when they found it, what happened was when they began doing radiotherapy, something went south, and she was in a coma, and then she transitioned.
Oh,
Yeah.
so sorry to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April 26th.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you said you wished she was around in your 20s.
Absolutely.
Are you in your 30s now?
I'm in my early 30s. I'm in the Mondays of my 30s.
The Mondays.
The Monday of my
All right.
30s.
Oh, yeah, we can guess. We can kind of guess. All right. So what do you see
Yeah.
in the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah.
Where do you want to see yourself? Where do you see yourself?
I want to see myself at the point where transformation in people's lives is tangible through everything I do. So I don't want to just have conversations. I want to be able to say that this conversation has transformed so and so and has done, like tangible experiences. Yeah, I really want that. I want to be able to be a voice in my time. I think God is, I feel like I'm in a season where God is trusting me with what He wants to hear people to hear. So I want God to show me who needs to hear it and be where they are.
Do you know that you have leadership qualities?
Yes.
Do you know that you're going to end up in leadership?
I don't like thinking about it, Percy. Yeah, because I told you I paint pictures in my head. Like now, you see, if you ask me a question, I'm at swearing in.
You're already at swearing. I like that. I mean, and you know, ladies have the ability of being able to like, quickly jump
Absolutely.
into that place. But I see you in leadership.
Thank you,
I really do
Percy.
see you in leadership. There's so much that you have to offer. There's a way also of unpacking things that you do so well. I follow you online, so I listen to a lot of the stuff that you say.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm wondering, how can so much wisdom be packed in such a young girl? Many times I ask myself that. But I know it's because of the place that you're headed.
Amen.
Yeah. So what leadership position?
I don't know. I don't know. At this point in my life, I'm like, where do you want us to go, God? 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how supportive is Moji
100%.
to your mission?
So when he comes, you have to ask him this question about how supportive I am to his mission. But I'm very confident publicly because I'm also very confidently affirmed privately. Many people don't know it is that many of the things that I'm told to come and speak, I will walk Moji through. He has stomached a lot of preparation, and he'll tell you, okay, let's try this. But he's a very secure man. Yeah, and I think one of the conversations we had with him was that he was telling me that if I do well, then so does he. And I think for me, that's a great man.
That's awesome.
That's a great
That's
man.
awesome. So you're in a very male-dominated space.
Yeah.
How do you make it work?
Yeah.
Like, what are the challenges that you go through?
One, the biggest challenge is being allowed into the room. Yeah. I don't think it's toxic masculinity, it's just the way society is wired, that men will occupy the room and take charge of it and almost hold the door to decide, do we allow you in or don't we allow you in? How do I go around it? I believe greatly in what I have.
Yeah.
If I get into the room, then I have something to share. If I don't get into the room, I'm not needed there, and that's fine. Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's very painful,
Yeah.
but you find your way. I mean, if Deborah could be a judge, then we could all be something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are the challenges?
One is, the lack of respect for boundaries. I'd be lying if I don't say that we'll walk into a space regardless of my wedding ring and men will be, hey, sister. So, and I'm like, I'm married.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like at one point I was telling Moji, I'm going to make like a blame here of my face and his. But it happens.
Yeah.
Disrespect in terms of how you look versus what you say. I ignore it loudly, but I can tell. You know, you can see it. So
Yeah.
those are some of the challenges I see in my head all the time. Yeah.
Wow. So Nyawira, we asked Moji a couple of questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to know how well you know your husband. Is that all right? So in this little segment, we will ask you a few questions that we asked him, and let's see how well you know your.
Moji, I love you, and this is not a reflection of our marriage.
Is it? Is it? Oh, that was fast. Okay. So question number one. What is your favorite color?
Green.
Green.
Yes.
What's his favorite color?
Should be black.
Should be.
Yeah.
All right. We'll let you know. You'll watch the show. and
Okay,
see.
yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite meal?
Would be ugali and beef or chicken and or chapati.
Does he cook?
Moji, no. And I wouldn't allow him to. The times
bad.
he's tried.
It's that bad.
Woo. Yeah. Also, I have a sense of control in the kitchen, and I'm happy we did that way.
Okay. What's his favorite meal?
Moji would like matoke that has meat inside and made well, or a simple rice and beef stew.
Okay.
Yeah. So all this fancy lasagna, ka uko nazo.
Yeah. He doesn't care for that. Yeah. He's a simple man. Sounds like a
Simple.
Okay. What's your favorite public holiday?
My birthday.
Public holiday.
My birthday. My birthday.
What do you think his favorite public holiday is?
My birthday. No, my favorite holiday is Christmas. Absolutely. I love it,
Christmas?
love it, love it, love it, love it. I don't think Moji is headstrong on any holiday.
Really?
No, no.
Is that your safe way of saying just any day that he
No,
mentions?
because more than likely he'll be working on any of those holidays.
Really?
So I don't
But he
think
doesn't
it's
have a favorite? Like, you think that this one, he kind of, he's different, he's upbeat about this?
No.
None?
No, no.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
We'll
fingers
find out.
crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. What's your favorite hangout place?
Any restaurant that makes tea from a pot. So you know those old weird two restaurants uko? Those are the ones. Those are my joints. So I think that's my type of jam. Yeah, shady girl activity. Don't let the makeup fool you.
Oh my
Don't let the
goodness.
makeup
Yeah,
fool
I'm
you.
like,
Yeah.
Did she hear the question?
If they ask, I ask, can you want this tea for me? No, madam, we don't have. I'm like, I'm in love. I'm in love.
Choma chai.
Choma your chai.
Yeah. Really? That's your favorite hangout place?
Absolutely.
I mean, my goodness, where are these simple women? Where are they found? All these people here behind the cameras, they're trying to figure out where you can be found.
We are there. We just mask well. Yeah, they're there.
So they should just be brave.
Give it
Just
time.
Step up.
And step up to the girl. Yeah.
Step up.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid.
That's
Don't
a
let
good
the
one.
makeup fool you.
Don't let the makeup fool
Okay,
you.
All right, excellent. What do you think his favorite hangout place is?
His studio.
His studio.
Yeah.
That's
He
when
can be
he's-
there night, day, any hour he'll be there.
Yeah.
If not there, would be in the company of his friends. Yeah. I think at any place, yeah.
Do you guys have similar friends?
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay.
We have similar friends, but he also has some of his old close friends, and yeah.
Okay. And you also have your own?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Do you all hang out with?
Our friends together? Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. What's your greatest pet peeve? The thing that drives you nuts.
This is gonna sound so petty, but judge me in your free time.
That's why it's called pet.
Yeah. Petty. But I think it's if the bed is not made well.
Wow.
Yeah, whether by myself or whether by him or whether by the both of us, I'll redo it.
If
So
the
it,
bed is not made well,
it
you like
throws
it
me off.
stretched.
yeah,
You like
and
the
done well.
sheets
So like
done,
if I ever go
folded
to a hotel
properly.
and
Yeah.
the tack is not right, I can undo it and start again. It'll annoy me. And I don't know why, and I'm lying down there with my eyes closed. It's a weird behavior,
Yeah.
but it's
But your thing.
It's my thing.
What do you think his greatest pet peeve is?
Moji's pet peeve would be something I do a lot, which is when I wear socks, I throw them anywhere. He can't stand that. Yeah.
when you wear socks?
I'm
you
the socks problem. I'm the socks problem. If I am married, people are like, actually, you know, when you get married, you'll be throwing socks. Every time I hear it, I die of laughter. I'm like, they're warning Moji about me. I throw socks anywhere and everywhere.
Like
Moji
when you
can't
walk
stand
in,
it.
you can just remove your
Yeah,
socks.
yeah, I'm done with the day. We remove the socks here. So Moji, no. And then also Moji is obsessed with socks.
Okay,
Yeah.
whoa, what does that mean?
He has too many pairs.
of socks.
Oh,
like
my
that's the
God.
thing he does.
Yeah, like, are we somewhere and we need socks? Let's buy them. Let's buy socks. Oh, why do you need so many socks? But then when you consider how I throw them around,
There's
I
a reason.
understand. I understand.
So is that a great gift to buy?
It's a balance.
Like-
Socks?
Yeah.
No, it's very offensive. He does it on his own happily.
Or it's
Absolutely.
offensive. Like don't buy him.
Yeah,
socks.
like
But
why?
he loves
I'll do
socks.
it anytime on my own, unprovoked. Yeah.
How many pairs of shoes do you own?
Not as many as him.
Whoa, I ain't asking him. I'm asking you. How many pairs of socks, how many shoes do you have?
Okay, they're in a range, Percy. Like, they're in a range.
I
They're
can
not
only imagine.
ridiculously many. Moji has a lot of
Total
shoes,
pair
Percy.
of shoes that you own.
Okay, they've been between the range of 15 to 20. Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad. You
Yeah,
can-
but
you
if
can
I'm
get one.
saying Moji's are more, why aren't you asking how many is his? Huh?
Because I'll
It's
ask you
too
when it
many,
comes to
Percy.
the-
It's too many. Say, in fact,
how
your
many-
wife
so how
has
many
been
do you
this
think he
interested.
owns?
Hey, too many. In fact, I'm the one who tells him we need to give away shoes. This is too much, Moji. This is too much. And you know, so my husband likes looking good, and he's very dramatic about how he looks. That if he's gonna wear this jacket, he has to have the right shoe for it.
Okay.
I think it's unnecessary. White and black go with anything, but not on his terms.
Yeah,
So you'll find he's worn a pair of shoes maybe twice. Yeah.
because he didn't put on that jacket.
It doesn't work again with any other outfit. And anyway, I told him it's true, you're the artist, you live that way. But you know, hey, what do I know?
Yeah, yeah. You're not gonna die on the heat.
I
of
won't
shoes.
die. Shoes, surely.
Yeah, it's just
no,
shoes, right?
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
It's
It's
leather.
fine.
It's just cows, right?
cow
Yeah,
that we love.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nyawira, thank you so much for coming on the bench.
Thanks,
There's people
Basi.
here waiting to hear from you
Yeah.
about career.
Yeah.
What are the steps that need to be taken?
Yeah.
What are the things that we need to look out for,
Yeah.
especially as young ladies out there or
Yeah.
a young man out there
Yeah.
who's saying, look, probably I didn't have similar opportunities as
Yeah.
you. They're thinking you had great opportunities. What do you do with a thing that comes before you that will set you apart? Just look into that camera and speak to them.
So I now know that there is such an importance of being mentored. And I wish I learned this younger. But then also I wish I didn't target mentorship based on social value as opposed to getting a mentor who's actually interested in growing you in certain areas. So if you're young, because I hope you are, or even if you're old, I think there's no time that's right for this discussion or not right for this discussion. Is to just tell you, be mentored. And I think the trick is not the mentor is the problem. Many a times, I think that because Pastor Don is mentoring me, wherever he takes me, I should be in the room presently and audibly. But I think there's beauty in being in the room and knowing it's not my time to speak and just being quiet and learning. And I think mentorship is a big thing about learning and unlearning. And many opportunities come from people who are willing to open the door for you, but you also have to know when I enter the room how I should behave. I think I've learned this a lot, and maybe let me just shout out my pastor, Reverend George. He has done this for me so many times. He will take me for a meeting that he's going for, and in the room, I am obsessively starstruck. I'm like, oh, how can I be in the room with this person? And I'll watch him look at me, and I could hear him say, don't say a word.
Calm down.
Calm down. And I've learned it now, like it's perfectly okay. If you're stuck, it's not a bad thing. Time is not, it's just something we give ourselves pressure for. If you're feeling like you're taking too long to get to where you need to get to, it's fine. But then also I think one of the things we don't like saying, and I think we have to also really talk about, is the people that you're with. Yeah, I think company plays a big part in your scaling in life, whether socially, career-wise, financially, emotionally, even spiritually. You know, when God tells Abraham, leave your family and go to this place I'll show you. Later on in the scripture, he Abraham just gets up and he goes with Sarah and they are going, Sarai, and they are going. God gives him the same instruction when he's telling him to go and kill Isaac, the one he loves. And Isaac, he tells him, go where I'll show you. But when I read that story, it was so interesting because they get to a place where Abraham tells the people he had come with, stop here, I can only go up here with my son. That means there's a place in your life where you can't go with everybody. And you should be okay with not going with everybody. Because had Abraham gone with other people, I can imagine the stories on the mountain, they'd be asking him where the provision is. But what God did with that is that sometimes he'll prove himself when you allow him to just be the one you're spending time with. So have the right people around you. Know where people need to stop and where God now comes in 100%. Don't go providing for yourself, God will provide for you. And to every young sister out there, I think opportunities will come. Don't rush them. The ram is waiting for you at the mountain. Yeah, you just need to get there. So don't go carrying a ram and God has told you just carry Isaac. So yeah, that's a whole different story. Yeah, walk with God. I think that goes without mentioning. I think we're nothing without God. And it's just to tell you that sometimes we think when we say go with God is that it sounds spiritual, but go with God is everything in your life. Go with God when you're looking for the partner. Go with God when you're dating the guy. Go with God when you get married. Go with God when you get the job. Go with God when you don't get the job. Go with God when you're disappointed, when you're rejected, when you're denied. Go with God. Go with God, go with God, go with God. Because the sad part is we think he moves away when hardship comes, but really he tells us he's closer then. So yeah, just go with God. Finally, to tell you, I'm just like any one of you. I'm finding my rhythm, and many a times I'll slip and fall, but I've learned that slipping and falling is still part of the journey. So bad times, they happen, but that's not the end of the story. So yeah, that's my thoughts in a second, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so well said. You know, and everything that you've said, God has been the center of it. How has your Christian walk, your relationship with God set you apart? I know both you and your hubby are leaders at a church. Are you elders?
He's an elder. I'm an elder's wife.
You're an elder's wife?
Yeah.
How, especially being so young.
Yes.
Like, how did you end up there?
Pastor, I got saved when I was 8. At CITAM, at the time it was NPC Karen. Dennis White was the one ministering, and I gave my life to Christ. Best decision of my life.
Nyawira, you were 8.
I was 8.
Like, you didn't get saved again,
No, I didn't have those moments.
I got saved when I think I was 8, and then at 12, I got saved again at 16,
Yeah, but the thing is, and why I didn't get saved again many times, was because I was discipled.
Wow.
So that's one of the things I really appreciated about CITAM at the time, because I didn't stay there at church, was that I was a child in the main church and I gave my life to Christ. And a lady called Rose, God rest her soul, she was way older than me.
Yeah.
But every Sunday after service, even if I'd go for Sunday school, she would see me and say, how was your week this week? Did you pray? Did you read the Bible? So she made me understand it was not a casual thing I had made a decision about. So that really helped.
At 8?
At 8. My dad dedicated me. So we are Anglican. So my dad dedicated me when I was very young. I don't know what his dealings with God were. I don't know if I'm an agreement to a contract he made with God that ukiniondolea hii shida huyu ni wako. I don't know. All I'm going to say is I'm grateful for him doing that.
Yeah.
Church has always been at the center. I've been in church. I'm your typical church girl. Yeah, I know the runnings, completely. Yeah. But being around also people who are around church a lot, you get to know a lot about God.
Yeah.
And then now, I think when I was 15 or 16 is when I finally accepted to be filled with the Spirit.
Okay.
And my manifestation with God is not necessarily the dramatic speaking in tongues, rolling on the floor, fireworks. Those can happen.
Yeah.
But for me, I actually feel the expression of the Holy Spirit when I hear God telling me something. Like I can hear him telling me, like, hey, don't say that, say this.
Yeah.
Everything I have, Pasi, and I mean this with no exemption, has been because of God, but through the church.
Yeah.
I met my husband through a Christian event.
Yeah.
We served together, we got married.
Yeah.
These places that people are seeing me being called to speak, I don't have anything to tell you. I go and I talk about God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think being available has allowed God to use me. That means he can use anyone. Yeah, he's not shy of users. So yeah, that's why I think God is a big part of my life.
You just have to be willing and available.
Willing and available and silent. Yeah.
Yeah. Know when to speak and when
Know
not.
when to speak. I think that's the moral of this lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. How is eldership?
It's great. It's
Yeah.
great. It's
Yeah.
great. This is like a dream come true. I was telling Moji, now that you have curtailed this agenda for being a bishop, because one of my goals was to be a bishop's wife, but it's hey, I'm here with Shatosheka Nai elder. But it's a great time. I think also just like to appreciate Reverend George. We're really young, but he's allowed us to see a lot of the runnings of church. Yeah, he's
That's
something
awesome.
else.
That's awesome. Well, we wish you well.
Thank you, Pastor.
And we know that there's so much ahead
yeah.
for both of you. And we can't wait to have Moji on the bench.
I can't wait.
And let's
either.
see if he agrees with everything that
Can I
you
ask
said.
you a question?
Yes, absolutely, please.
What do you wish you knew when you were younger?
Folks, that's it. What
It's
do I
the
wish?
reflex.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I was certain that this was my show until a second ago. But I wish I knew that life and life's decisions can really form the trajectory of your life. Like, I wish I was more aware of it, yeah. Sometimes we hear it, of course, when you're growing up, when you're in school and everything, the teachers would kind of try and tell you, you guys play around, but understanding the gravitas of decisions that you make today affecting your tomorrow is probably one of the things that I wish I knew earlier. So for instance, if I was 19 again, I would probably have put myself more in front as far as church is concerned and matters spiritual.
Got it. Knowing that this would be the eventuality of your life.
Yeah. I remember years ago, a man prophesied to me and said, you need to study, you need to spend more time in the Word, because there'll be a time God will need that to be pulled out of you. And I wondered, I left there saying, I have my quiet time every day. That definitely is not God. He can't demand more of my, and then years later, when I think back, I'm like, he warned me, he tried to warn me, he told me, and sometimes the understanding of being very present, living today with everything you have, giving it all, because you don't know about tomorrow. Yeah, and age catches up real fast. You're not going to be a youth forever.
Yeah. What do you wish young people
Whoa,
knew?
whoa.
I can't
When
be,
did we-
I
when
can't
did we
be on
flip?
the bench with such wisdom. Na niko hapa tunaongea. Surely, who takes
Last
the lead?
question,
Last
last
question,
question.
Percy. But what do you wish young people knew, considering you've been where they were?
I mean, you have some power-packed questions. Young people need to know that youth is so much energy. It needs to be put under control.
Love it.
And plugged in where it will give birth the most. Yeah, so that you look at the energies, what you're able to do today as not something to waste, but as something to harness for the greater good. Ladies and gentlemen,
let me
this
stop.
is Nyawira Gachugi. I'm sure you've agreed with me. She's phenomenal. Now, she takes over shows, so please do not invite her to your show. Or give her a stern warning, give her a letter that she needs to sign off on. But Nyawira, as you've seen and heard, is going places. I can't wait to see the leadership roles that she will occupy. She's already leading, and she has people that she's leading, and people who are listening and following her every move. Find her on social media. Go plug in. Nyawira, tell us your handle.
Nyawira Gachugi everywhere and anywhere. On YouTube, I'm misunderstood. Yeah.
She's misunderstood. You're going to understand everything
That's
about her if you
right.
follow her. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Asante.
Thank you.
You've made the bench.
Thank you.
Asante.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.